Udo. Yeah, so it's been a minute. These last 2 weeks for me have been very chaotic. I did some traveling. In the middle of the traveling, I got stuck in the Atlanta airport for a day. I was stuck in the good city of Atlanta for a day. Atlanta is everything people say it is, good and bad. Good and bad. I was stuck in the middle of a Beyonce concert. I couldn't find no damn hotels for me and my family. We finally found one way out there in I think Buckhead. I don't know if Buckhead is the same thing as Bankhead, but you guys let me know. I don't know, but I thought they were the same thing. But yeah, so just a whole lot of things have been going on. But we're alive now. We're here. Everything worked out. Hey, I want to know. I see there's three of you guys in here. I don't know if the chat is working. So if you're in here, let me know. Is the chat working? Also, does my resolution look better than normal? This looks really good. Aha, D Shelton and there. Whoa, hey, how are you doing? Udo. Who's all in the house? Where are you guys from? Let me know. Let me know. D is in the house. Udo. Everybody, come on in. Once we get, I'm kind of hitting you guys out of nowhere with this, out of some after some hiatus. So we're just gonna set the number at 10. Once we get to 10 people, we'll go ahead and begin. D and there. Whoa. All right. So if you're already in the chat, help us get to the 10 people. Take this link, share it on Instagram, share it on TikTok, share it on Twitter, share it in the group chat, share it in the family Facebook Messenger group where they're not trying to hear half of what I'm saying. If you're new here, my name is Derek Ofadarungwa. Hey, Phoenix, and there, whoa. Yes, Phoenix, it's been a minute. It's been 2 weeks. I think 2 or 3 weeks. But there's been a lot of chaos on my end, that kind of thing. But we're back anyways. I think I needed the time off. I think I really needed the time off. I feel like very rejuvenated and so forth. So it's hard for me to take time off from what I do because it doesn't feel like I'm working. And then when life forces me to take time off, I realize, oh, I really needed that, right? So ndewo. Oh, I must have missed one for a couple. I've been gone for 2 weeks, so you're not wrong. I've been gone for a little bit. Yes, it's good you rested. He said. Well, I wouldn't call this time rest. I wouldn't call it rest because I was going through it. But not in a bad way. We're in the process of moving back to where we want to be living for the next few years. And so just a lot of flying and trying to make that happen. Ndewo. Yeah, also, the kids, this was a piece of cake with one kid, but I got two kids now and they got opinions and places they want to be. I just figured out my daughter went into my neighbor's house, trying to make sure my wife don't hear that happened. But we know the neighbors, we trust each other, watch kids back and forth and so forth. But I did send her brother there to make sure everything's okay. So, okay, moving. Yeah, that moving is something. All right, we've hit 10 people. There will he say, let us go ahead and begin. Okay. I do have a lot of things I want to talk about, and I don't know how I'm going to weave them into the conversation because there's been a lot going on the African and the diasporic wing of the internet. Um, I do have a lot to say, but we'll see if questions pop up that relate to it. I tend to prefer to be triggered into a rant rather than to just be turning this thing on and going off, right? Which I don't think is the best content creator etiquette, but that's who I am. But that being said, let us go ahead and begin. Igbo land, Texas. You know now. All right, Kaibido. Okike Keroa. Alabwala. Ala nne mmadụ na nne mmụọ. Ala na-enye ndụ. Na-enye nke ọma dị n'ụwa. Ala anyị siri bịa. Ala anyị si elo. Nne dị mma. Nne ukwu. Ụmụ gị abịala. Ọkwa obiọma ka anyị jikwere na-ekele ụmụ ndị eke, ndị orie, ndị afọ na ndị nkwọ. Ndị mbụ na ndị egede. Ndị mmadụ na ndị mmụọ. Ọkwa obiọma ka anyị ji na-ekelekwe ụmụ aja na Afrịka ebe ọbụla ha dị n'ụwa. Anyị bụ otu mmadụ, otu mmụọ, otu obi, otu ije, otu aka, otu okwu, otu agbụrụ. Ejikwere m obiọma na-ekelekwe ndị ọkpụ na ndị ichie unu niile nọ n'ụwa nke nwere obiọma, nke na-eso unu n'ụwa, nke na-egozi ije unu. Ejikwere m obiọma na-ekelekwe ha. Aha m bụ Duru Derek Ọfọdụ nwa ọkpara aja na awọ mama na umeokwe. Ọwụ aka ji ọfọ ka m ji na-ekele unu niile maka na anyị ga-enwe ndụ, anyị ga-enwe obiọma, anyị ga-enwe aṅụrị, anyị ga-enwe udo, anyị ga-enwe akọ na ụba, anyị ga-enwe akọ na uche. Otu a ka ọ ga-adị na eke, n'orie, n'afọ, na nkwọ. Ise. All right, let's go. 40 people, damn. I should take breaks more often. 40 people, damn. That was quick. All right, y'all. So I think a lot of you guys are new, maybe because of my troll ass title. I don't know. But if you are new, this is Ask Me Almost Anything. You ask me the questions. Yeah, that was fast as hell. You ask me the questions, I answer your question. If we run out of question, then we hop. Then I go. I'm supposed to be watching my kids. Probably gonna get a phone call pretty soon. I'm not. This is new for me. I don't trust these people out here, but I'm trying to. It's been a minute. Yes, it has been a minute. Yes, it's been. I've been gone for probably 2 or 3 weeks. Yeah. So my bad, y'all. I keep getting tempted to go live every day. I keep getting tempted. Don't trust who. A lot of people. All smiles be a lot of people. Well, good seeing you though. I keep getting tempted to go live every day, but I'm trying to hold out. I'm trying to hold out. All right, y'all, let's go. Do we have questions that we want or topics that we want to discuss? Throw a topic at me and we will go from there, right? This is freestyle. If you guys don't have topics, I don't like what am I doing? All right. I'm seeing 2 couple of African groups speak more and more of aliens, off-planet seeds, I guess. Did our ancestors talk about this? So I've also been running into a lot of that too. There's this video that I want to share on here where there's a Zulu story about aliens, right? About gray aliens. Very similar to the ones you'd hear in the US and so forth. I don't know any Igbo stories of aliens, though people have theorized that I told the story of how Insibidi came to humans, right? The story of Insibidi was that Insibidi was taught to human beings by an ape-like creature known as the Idiok, right? An ape-like creature known as the Idiok. The Idiok would use sign language to communicate. On top of using sign language to communicate, they would also draw symbols on the ground. And after a while of interacting with human beings, specifically women, right? It was first taught to women before it was taught to men. It's taught to a group of women somewhere in the Cross River region. And afterwards, these apes gave us Insibidi. So some people have theorized in the comments of the video of the Idiok and the coming of Insibidi that these are aliens that are being referred to. I've seen people refer to orangutans because a lot of people translate the Idiok as orangutan. I've heard hominid, a lost hominid. So those are all theories, but that's the closest I get to knowing about any type of alien theory. But I do have this really interesting video from the Zulu people that I think I'm going to start doing that. I'm going to share it on my channel and see what you guys think. I've heard of Anunnaki in Ghana. Yeah, maybe. Phoenix, do you want to share a little bit more? Oh, God. Okay, hold on, guys. My garage door is opening, and it should not be. Namdi, what's up, man?
I'm back. I closed the garage door.
Is your sister with you?
Yeah.
Okay, how come you guys came back?
Because everybody's home.
Okay, cool. No problem. All right, so I no longer have reason to worry. My kids survived. All right, so now they're going to come in here and terrorize me. All right, and there wonu. Okay, let's go back.
Where was mommy?
Mommy's not home right now.
She went to work.
Yeah, she went to work. Okay. She'll be back. She'll be back in the morning. She'll be back in the morning. You want me to carry you? Okay, come here, come here, come here, come here. It's okay. It's okay.
I'm now gonna start a whole drawing spree of drawing geometry dots.
Okay, no problem. All right. Can Ola draw with you? Can Ola draw with you?
Yeah.
Ola, do you want to draw with Namdi? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay, you can do that. All right. Okay, we are back. We are back. We are back. Blessings to them. Thank you. I appreciate it. Did our ancestors talk to mermaids? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And they still do, according to some, right? Our people still do. From anywhere you go in Africa, you will hear these stories of creatures from the water sharing knowledge, sharing wisdom, sharing connection, also causing problems, and generally just being a part of the community. So yeah, that's absolutely. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody said that the. Anyways, yeah. So yeah, absolutely, they did communicate with mermaids. I'm just trying to get my focus back from everything that's going on. But yeah, absolutely, our people do communicate with mermaids, and they still do, and it can still be done, there's a lot of shrines dedicated to it, right? I always cite the Obuide shrine in Oguta as a place that's water work is done, so absolutely, yeah, that's still a part of the practice, and it always has been. A lot of our knowledge came from the hands of mermaids. A lot of our music and music styles came from mermaids. If you ask where this came from, they'll tell you it came from the water, right? Oliver de Cook is a good example. Oliver de Cook was a superstar, music superstar from the 80s and 90s in high life music. I have a video on high life, so check that out if you have a chance, if you're interested. And so Oliver de Coke has this song that was super controversial back in the day because that was during the rise of the whole hyper evangelical takeover, right? And his song says, Eguma sinamirio sinamiri aye, which says, my music comes from the water. It came from the music, or the music came from the water. Aye. Another one is Victor Uwaifo. Victor Uwaifo is known as the Guitar Boy. He's an Edo man. Uh, I think Ishan, but I could be wrong. I think he's an Ishan guy. But he's an Ishan man, and which is a group that's very close and somewhat similar to Igbo. And he says that he's known as the Guitar Boy. So he's like a genius with guitars. From like a young age, he would build his own guitars. He built all these different styles. He built this little thing where it spins on his chest and that kind of thing. Showman. And he built a shrine to the mermaid that gave him his gifts, that gives him his music, his muse, right? He built a shrine to her in where he's from. So this is the interaction with mermaids is still a regular part of our practice. And everybody I'm citing, these are stories from like the 90s and 80s. It's nothing like ancient history. So I'll them mind. So another content creator I follow's husband shares stories from his people from northern Ghana. I think she was studying Anunnaki, but in his story, the people encountered odd beings. I might be mixing the stories, but that's what I remember. Other story had something to do with disabling people. It's interesting. Yeah, I don't know too much about that, and you'd have to let me know the details. Makes sense since water is used for drumming. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, as far as Odinani goes, a lot of creativity itself is a byproduct of water. It comes from water, right? Water gives us our creative ability. Water gives us a lot of what we would call subjective experience, right? So, the things you enjoy, the things that make life enjoyable, right? As well as life itself. Miribundu. All these things are attributed to water or the element Urie. Orie. This is the second day of the Igbo calendar. This is also the second path by which things enter the world and exit the world. And a lot of what comes through the Urie path is enjoyment oriented, joy oriented, happiness oriented, right? Yeah, so oh. Hey God, Angel the babe, udo nwanne nwaanyị ọma ka ị dị. Mụ na onwe m adị mma. Ihe ị kụziri m taa ni mụ na onwe m amadị m ya. And ana m ele aha ya ụwa ifọ. Bụ mụ na onwe m eche m na okwu ndị Bini. So as she says, Victor Uwaifo is an Ibanke Igbo man. So I am corrected. He is not Ishan. He is an Ibanke Igbo man. He's an Igbo man, right? Which I didn't know. I did not know. I've been a fan of his music for a long time. I like him as a personality, but I had no clue. I had no clue he was an Igbo man. But anyways, our Ibanke brothers and sisters, they need to clarify some things. The Zodinani pray with candles, incense, oils, and yagas. I grew up seeing a lot of Black American folk magic, hoodoo. Nice. They say it's from West Africa. There's a shared connection. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So one of the things is it's the essence of the candle, or it's what the candle is holding, which is light, fire, light, right? So a lot of things that would require that, or if that's just what gets you to feel spirit, then yeah, it's absolutely a big part of it. Candles are normal. They've been normal since the beginning of time. There's this native, like, let me call it a native candle. I just can't remember the name of it, but it looks a lot like the little lamps they hold in India for, what's that, Diwali celebration they have. So those were used. It's always been a part of the practice and so forth. And it still is. But be aware that whatever it takes to get you to feel spirit, then that's fine. It's fine. If it gets you there, whatever it takes to get you there, it's fine. And with that understanding, you'll see that if you enter different people's households when they're praying or they're doing what they got to do, there's going to be a different look each time, right? But a lot of people will use candles for sure. It's very common, very normal. So yeah. I've been taught a lot about hoodoo by different hoodoos. They've sent me documents. We've had conversations, things like that. Just because a lot of them have seen my videos on Odinani and they're like, yo, this looks really familiar. This a lot of this correlates and so forth. So yeah, not surprised if you go to a lot of DBS, is and Y, also Nanze, all of them. Nze also, my bad. You'll also see the use of candles. It's nothing unusual. So.
Don't open the door. I'm knocking.
Yes, guys. Okay, show me.
It's a geometry dash.
It's geometry dash. Yeah, it's very cool.
This is my drawing.
Very cool. My son wanted to show me his drawing.
And I drew my drawing.
You drawed your drawing? Okay, where's your drawing?
Wait, let me show you.
Did you show me all this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I added a bit to it, so now
Cool.
it just looks like a smiley.
All right, that's brothers, and then this is little sisters.
Okay.
Is this geometry dash?
Okay. No.
Okay, what is it?
At first, it just looks like eyes,
Uh-huh.
and then just a line down like that,
Okay.
and then I just added a nose and added a smiley face.
That's very cool. What is this?
I drew it from me.
It's very nice. I like it.
And here it's Nandi's.
And this is Nandi's. Are you guys gonna make another one?
Mm-hmm.
All right, here you go. All right, go.
Okay.
Show me when I'm done going live, okay?
Well,
Cool. All right. Cool. I appreciate it. All right. Yeah, I've just accepted that I'm not gonna have. I'm not gonna have time to just focus. So this is just gonna be a part of it. It's whatever. Yeah, it's all good. Can we discuss the relation between Onyo Watuchi as it concerns one's memory about purpose and reincarnation? This is such a good question. Let's talk about Onyowa and the Chi. Okay, so those of you who are veterans to the channel, you'll know this. So, but either way, it's always good to go over it. So, everybody is made up of four elements, right? There are four essences that make you, right? Your chi, eke, unyoa, or chioa, right? And your or agon. All three names correlate. I call it agon to avoid confusion, so we're gonna call it agon. Your chi, eke, agon, and your mo. Okay, we are just going to talk about Agun this time, right? What is Agun? Agun is your undying essence. Agun is the part of you that is carries the mind of the creator. In the beginning of time, there was a certain spirit by the name of Agun and Abara. Not even a spirit, beyond the spirit, Abara, right? There was an Abara named Agun. Agun was amazed by Chukwu because Chukwu was all knowing, all seeing, all being. And Chukwu, Agun then approached Chukwu and said, as is Agun's nature to be naturally curious, and said, Chukwu, you are all knowing, but I wish to know what you know. And so Chukwu said, Agun, if you wish to know what I know, you must balance all of the Abara on your head. And so Agun began the process of putting Nemiri, Allah, Udo, Igwe, Kamalu. What's another one? Idemili, Anyanwu, just Ekwensu, Amadioha. What's another one? What's another one? If you guys can think of some before I do, I'll try to think of some more. Nothing's coming to me. Ubunal. Just stacking up all the Abara on top of his head, and Agun was actually able to balance all of the Abara on top of Agun's head. This is why you'll see a lot of masquerades that are carrying a bunch of different masquerades on top of their head, or a bunch of different figurines on their head. They are symbolic of Agun. Those of you who are from Onitsha, you will be familiar with the Ofala festival, where all of the titled men will wear a hat with a whole bunch of feathers coming out of it. This is all going back to this story. So Agun balanced all of these elements on their head. And Chukwu was amazed that Agun was about to do this. So Chukwu gave Agun what is known as Etu. Etu is the mind of the creator. It is the mind that is able um, to manifest and make things, new things exist in the universe. And so, because Agun was all knowing, Chukwu then instructed all of the other Abara to cut Agun into pieces and swallow a piece of Agun so that all things in creation have Agun within them. So every human being has Agun within them. And this connects us to the mind of the all knowing and the infinite consciousness, right? And so this part of us, that third part that I mentioned, the Agun, when we die, everything goes its separate places. But Agun, everywhere it is always on a mission. Is always it comes to do or not to do. It comes to manifest a purpose. I'm actually going to talk about this idea of purpose too, because I keep using the word purpose to explain purpose in Udinani, but the actual word is akaraka. And if you understand it as akaraka, right, you will understand it beyond the concept of purpose, because purpose in English means like an activity. You do something, right? I'm coming into this room to pick up a flashlight. That is purpose, right? It's more than that. Akaraka is you're gonna grow 7,402 hairs instead of 7,401. Akaraka is you're going to find happiness when you're in this space. Akaraka is on this day at this time, the sun will be in your eyes. You're going to squint a little bit and look over, and you're going to find $3. That's Akaraka. All of that is Akaraka, right? So that doesn't that the Western concept of purpose doesn't really fit all that. Okay, so wherever there's Akaraka, it is Agun that runs the path and makes it happen. Okay, and so all of us have Agun, right? Now, when we pass away, this Agun that holds our Akaraka will then return into the world, into another child or multiple children. Okay? It will return into another child or into multiple children. And when it returns, a piece of that purpose, that akaraka, is now in those new children, right? So if we can think of it like how am I going to define this? Like a football team, right? Or let's do a football team. Football team for 4 years has got these specific people in it. They're doing this specific thing. The next 4 years has got a whole new cast of people, but they're still animated by the spirit of the Bengals or the spirit of Miami and da da da. That uniting spirit is Agon. That's your Agon. Now, Agon has 3 popular names. Some people call Agon Onyowa. Some people call Agon Chiowa. Okay? The phrase Onyowa says my worldly person, my universal person, my earthly person. This is the person you were. Like, remember that Agon, somebody passes away and then the Agon comes into a new life. And we call this Ilowa, reincarnation, right? So the person you were in the past life is your Onyowa. You and your Onyowa share the same Agon, right? Agon is also referred to as your Chi-Owa, okay? Your Chi-Owa, which is your Chi in the world, your universal Chi, that kind of thing, right? Which is different from your Chi, right? Different from your Chi. There's a song that says, Ilo Abugi Chi. Ilo Abugi Chi. Your returning person is not your Chi, right? But it's called Chiowa. So to avoid the confusion, I just say Agon, right? The relationship between Chi and Agon is that your Chi sends your Agon into the world to actualize your Akaraka, okay? And then your Agon does it. But this Akaraka, right? All these etchings on my hand, Akaraka means the etchings on your palm. These etchings on my palm are a script. This is my life. This is what's going to happen in my life. And this script doesn't end at my palm. It extends through my entire body, right? It extends through my entire being. It makes me who I am so that for the purpose I existed within, okay? And then it doesn't just end at your body. It extends into the next people, the next people you incarnate as, okay? As it also extends into the people you were in the previous life. Isn't wine. Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah. So that Akaraka is not just you. It exists before you and after you. This is just a chapter in this story of this Akaraka, of this thing. So when you're done reading mine, you still need to read the children that I'll come back into the world as, okay? That returning spirit is the Chi-Owa. That is the Chi-Owa, okay? That is the Ago. The Chi is the one that sent all of this into creation, okay? That sent all of this into creation, that made this all exist. Odema. So fate, not faith. Everything is already planned. Everything's already planned one day. Everything is already planned. We are floating down a river and the river knows where it's going. The river knows where it's going. Odema. I had this video, I got really theoretical, where I'm talking about this idea of predestined. And I want to ask you guys, do you believe in free will? Do you guys believe there is free will? I want to hear some answers. Do you believe that there is free will? I personally do not. All right, let's see if I missed any questions in that talk. Let me go back. Candles, yeah, okay, yeah. Could you relations of Chihuahua for the memory? Oh, yeah. Okay, so memory. Okay, my bad. So because Agun is the source of knowing, damn, y'all are coming through. Moonshine, thank you for that. So because Agun is the one that carries it too, that carries your consciousness, that carries knowing, and the way your Akaraka extends into your previous life, right? You still remember that previous life. You still remember that previous life. The memory of that previous life is informing who you are today. And your next life, you will still remember this. Now, there's our consciousness, and then there's Agun. There's that Agun consciousness, which is higher and deeper and has to be called upon and can only land within you and be one with you if you have Akan Kumata, the upright hand, if you're firm spiritually and physically. I want to say and physically too. That's important, right? If you are firm spiritually and physically, if you are ready to make that connection, boom, that past life memory comes, right? This is why in our tradition, I always use DBS for example. In our tradition, it's believed that a DBS is born. You don't really teach, even though I have a class on traditional medicine, you don't really teach a person how to be a DBS. They're born that way. You understand? And whatever it is they carried in the previous life, they still know it, right? They just have to know how to access it, which is really what a lot of the traditional medicine class is about, is accessing it within you, right? Once you access it, once you tap into it, right, the knowledge will flow out of you, free form, free form. Okay. So you carry a past life. There's like a, you carry that memory from your previous life, right? You carry that memory from your previous life, and it guides you, it moves you. Uh, let's see. What you said was what I was shown in a vision in a spiritual class. I'm wild. Udo one day. Yeah. Udo. Okay, John Joiner. Udo, good seeing you, John. Have you heard of the term moi and moi? Yes. If so, could you explain the difference? I read it in After God is DBI. Moi and moi, same thing. Same thing. The word moi just means where moi lives. Moi means the land of moi. Same thing. It's the realm of spirit.
I'm hungry on yogurt.
You want a yogurt? Namdi, get your sister some yogurt. So yeah, it's the same thing. Ben moi, Allah moi. It's the realm of spirit. Now, however your cosmic imagination contextualizes that is up to you. For me, mine is a little more like traditional. So I don't believe that there is a separation between Allah moi and Allah muado. It's just what a person's able to perceive and not perceive, right? So as I stand here, my moi is also here with me. As I stand here, my moi is also here with me. In a community, the moi of that community are walking about and living their life as well as you. And what odinani, what spirituality is learning to acknowledge and be at peace with that, right? To be in community with that, to be in to be one with that idea or with that existence, right? So yeah, Allah more, Ben more, they both say the same thing, which Ben more means like place of more, where more lives, and then Allah more, Ani more. I think you said Ani, Ani and Allah, same thing. So Ani more is just the land of more. So it's the same thing, right? Odemma, Odemma, right? Now, a lot of stories will contextualize a lot more as a place you go, right? As a different place, you understand? But even those stories, they have a reason they do that, right? I didn't want. Love the way you explained it. Thank you, D. It's what I do. Does Odinani creation story, a story of all humanity? Yes. Does that mean Odinani is for all of those connected to Africa by blood DNA or family marriage? The creation story in Odinani is the creation of humanity, period, of Earth, period, right? A lot of times when we run into African traditions for some reason, and this isn't even coming from like the outside, it's sometimes the inside. We'll like minimize it to like ourselves. So like somebody will say like Igwe is the Igbo god of the sky. Igwe means sky. Igwe means sky. There's no Igbo sky. You understand? It's just the sky, right? Allah is the Igbo goddess of the earth. Allah means earth. It's just earth. It means earth. So there's no, I mean, there's Allah Igbo, right? There's our little portion of Allah, right? Um, which has now extended to Ghana, which has now extended to Ghana. A lot of you won't understand what I'm saying. Some of you will, right? But Allah means earth, right? Oshimiri is just like deep water, source water. It's everybody's source water, right? When we say the 4 market days, they're not the 4 Igbo they're just the 4 days period, right? If you break your calendar into those 4 days, you'll have a perfect calendar of 13 moons, 4 days per week, and it'll balance every single year. You don't need to, this one's the leap year, and this one's the what's that, daylight savings, and you don't need to do all that because that's all signs of inaccuracy. 4 days, 13 moons, you're good, right? You're good. So yeah, the creation story is the creation of humanity, all of humanity, right? Now, do Igbo people believe that humanity starts from Ala Igbo? Yes, they do, right? That's what we believe, right? So there's some evidence that point to it, right? Some evidence that point to it. And I could be quoting this wrong, so my geneticist gang, let me know. But I believe that everybody's Y chromosome comes from an area around Cameroon, like an area around Cameroon, which is right there, it's right next to Evil Land, right? And then I think I don't think I know, like the oldest artifacts in West Africa are in Igbo land. They're among the oldest in Africa, right? So there's a lot to say that perhaps that's what's going on, but who knows, you know? I go back and forth on free will. Yes. I understand that. I used to go back and forth on it because you came through. Okay. What do you call a spiritual guide in Igbo? Um, uh, anything can be a spiritual guide. Akunwanyi. Anything can be a spiritual guide. So, a spiritual guide, a term would be more uzi, right? As far as a spirit that guides you, more uzi, right? Different more can be people's more uzi. People can choose whichever their more uzi is, but then you also have your inbuilt more uzi, right? If somebody chooses to have goddamn the Prophet Muhammad be their more uzi, then that's just what it's going to be, right? Somebody chooses uh, 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 John Locke or Sun Tzu, not Sun Tzu, Confucius. All of those are Mozi, right? They're Mozi, they're guiding spirits. But at the same time, there are also other spirits you can tap into that are not, we're not talking about these terrestrial ones that are also Mozi. So a spirit guide is a more Uzi, right? Person can tap into Hamadioha as a more Uzi. Person can tap into Idemili, can tap into Imo, can tap into what's another one? What's another one? Just I don't know. I'm stuck on this. Allah, right? You can tap into all these different ones as more Uzi. So anything can be a more. Any more can be a more Uzi. You just make the choice to follow it, right? My husband hate me. I'm so loving, so grateful. He treats me like dirt. Yeah, you gotta fix that. Sorry about that. Pull shift babies. I had 7. Celia, I think this is the first time seeing you here, so you're welcome. You're welcome. If you have specific questions, I'm here for you. Why do I have deja vu? Oh, that's a good ass question. Brule, Brule. Let me know if I'm saying your name wrong. Brule is saying, why do I have deja vu? Mono Wem, I myself, I don't have an explanation, right? I myself, I do not have an explanation. But I will say this, right? The ancestral understanding of more is okay. So each of us is two things: mado, more. Everything comes as mado and more. Mado is person, physical, terrestrial, 5 senses, that kind of thing. More is this auraic self. We can call it your spirit. It is this auraic self that exists outside of you. Mado has one relationship with time that more does not have. More has a relationship with time that Mado does not have. Okay? So this concept of beginning, middle, and end doesn't exist in more because more from the human perception is timeless, like light. Okay? More from the human perception is timeless, like light. Your more is your more is still standing every single place you have ever been, and your more is currently standing every single place you are going to be. Okay? Your more is here with you, but it also trails everywhere you've been, and it also extends to everywhere you are going to be. As the story has been written, more has already walked it. There's a thing that we say, there's an ilu in the Igbo culture that says, "Nyobola, emere mmadụ eburu ụzọ mee na mmụọ. Ihe ọbụla emere, I'm sorry, onye ọbụla emere na mmadụ eburu ụzọ mee na mmụọ, which means whatever is done to the person in mmadụ was first done in mmụọ. So anything you feel, anything that happens to you, anything you experience, your spirit has already experienced that thing. Mmụọ has already experienced that thing. This is why ritual is important for recalibrating the direction of your life. Because ritual is what we have found that helps us communicate and guide and move more from one place to another. Right? So wherever you're going to be, your more has already been there. And you can move that more in a slightly different direction. More operates like music, right? Almost like I did a video on like the more of self-sabotage, spirit of self-sabotage. And in this particular video, I did an analogy of more almost like a record player, right? Or like a record, you know, the old school big records where it's always going to play the same thing over and over if you put it on there, right? And whatever the record plays, the people dance. But the song already exists. It existed before the more, if that makes sense, right? So if you want the model, the human to dance different, you have to change the song. And you can play with more all you want, it's yours, right? Just the same way you can do your hair. You understand, right? This is why affirmations work. This is why whatever song you play within your head and within your spirit about yourself, it manifests into reality. Right? So we're conscious in what we say, in the patterns of behavior we engage in the people we tie ourselves to, and so forth, and that kind of thing. So, all right, let's see where we're at. Honestly, I see existence like that too. There's no separation. Who don't want to? I agree. Thank you for explanation. So who said that about Igwe? Yeah, people say that all the time. Igwe is the Igbo god of the sky. Amadioha is the Igbo god of thunder. Like once you cross over and go to, I don't know, Akwa Ibom, all of a sudden thunder is different, right? They have a different Igwe in Benue and Kogi than they have in Imo State, right? So I myself, I don't see it that way, and that's just not what it is, right? This is this concept of nationalism, which is a concept from like the 1800s being imposed on people's connection to the universe, right? And it only happens like, I want to say it tends to happen to the non-European cultures, right? Where European concepts are universal and then ours are specific, or like like in a cage in an area. You could never describe the sky. You're describing your piece of the sky. I describe the sky, which I don't buy that. I think it's a little BS. D. Appreciate it. Thanks so much for all you do. It doesn't matter who we wait. So hold on. So it doesn't matter who we pray for help. Chi Allah will do. Yes.
My brother mean.
Your brother's mean? Namdi, I heard you're being mean. What's going on, man? Hola, I'm hearing that you're the one being mean. Is that true?
No.
It's not true? Okay, so what's the truth? What's the truth?
I don't know.
Okay, what did Namdi do that was mean? Oh, Namdi, one at a time. What did Namdi do that was mean? No, stay off the camera. What did Namdi do that was mean?
Killing me.
Do you want to wait till I'm done going live? All right, let's do this. We're gonna start over, okay? So hold on, Namdi. Since we can't decide who is being mean, okay, go ahead. Uh-huh. Okay. Allah, is that what happened? Allah, is that what happened? Okay. Let's not flip Namdi's pages, okay? If he's drawing. Then when he's done drawing, you can flip the pages. Okay? All right, let's start over. From now on, nobody's mean. We're starting a blank slate. Go. All right, where were we? All right, so it doesn't matter who we pray for help, Chi or Allah will do. Okay, this is a really good question. So if you are praying for help, for intervention, you go to your Chi. You go to your Chi. You go to your Chi. Okay. You can go to Allah, right? But going to your Chi.
I'm hungry.
What?
I'm hungry.
You're hungry? Okay. Okay, let's get you something to eat. So going to your Chi is your best bet. Go to your Chi, go to your ancestors, which are one and the same. And we can talk about how they're one and the same, right? But go to your Chi. You can go to the Abara, you can go to Allah, you can go to Miri, you can go to all these different forces, but they have their rules, right? They have their different ways of exacting help that are different from your Chi. Your Chi is unconditional. Allah has conditions. Nemiri has conditions. Amadioha doesn't really have that many conditions, but Amadioha knows what Amadioha is going to do, right? So if your hands are clean, Amadioha is on your side. If your hands are not clean, Amadioha is not on your side. That's how Amadioha can help, right? But if your hands are not clean and you call for Amadioha, Amadioha is going to strike your ass.
I don't want this.
You don't want this? Okay, well, the one you like, this other one's finished. So what are we going to get?
Can you give me another one in garage?
Huh?
Can you give me another one in garage?
Another one in the garage? There's none in the garage. This is the last one. You can have it.
No.
Okay, hey. Don't be rude. Do you want applesauce?
No. Something else.
Something else. Let's look for something else. Do apples?
No.
Okay. So Amadioha, for example, if you call upon Amadioha and you're guilty, your ass is dead. Hola. You want?
No.
Okay. If you call upon Amadioha and you're guilty, your ass is dead. So call upon your Chi. That is the safest and most unconditional connection to divinity that you have, because it is you. It is part and parcel of you, right? But where are we at? What was I gonna say? Do you want oranges?
No.
Okay, what do you want, Ola?
I want applesauce. So you can feed me.
I want applesauce and I can feed you. Okay. Here we go. All right. So yeah, call upon your Chi. You can call upon the Abara, but the Abara have their natures and their rules. So you have to understand their natures and their rules, right? Think of the Abara as neighbors that you have. And each neighbor, like for example, you know that when you borrow one neighbor's lawnmower, they get really paranoid about you breaking it. And then you have one neighbor who doesn't care. Oh yeah, sure, anytime. Yeah, come on in. That kind of thing, right? So they all have their natures, but the one you're going to understand the most and the nature that's going to be the most effective is your Chi, right? Because anything an Abara does for you, it'll go through your Chi anyways. Anything an Abara does for you, it will go through your Chi anyways. But the Abara have their conditions, right? And a rule of thumb is that the female Abara have more conditions than the male ones. The male ones tend to not have any conditions. Slight exception for Ikwinsu. Come this way. Mama. All right, slight exception for Ikwinsu. So just 1 second. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, here you go, Mama. Go close the door. Bachuzo. There we go. Yeah. Oh. Okay. Yes, to change the dance step, you change the rhythm of the drum. Igbo adage. Perfect. You said it. All right. So, who is the equivalent of the Orisha Oolokun? Can you explain Oolokun to me? If you can explain Oolokun to me, I can try to tell you who the equivalent is. If you explain Oolokun to me, I can try to tell you. But a lot of like Abara are also ancestors. These were people who actually walked the earth at one point. And so in the Igbo tradition, the universal ones are the nature, the ones that are related to nature. And each community has its ancestor. But I understand with the Yoruba tradition, a lot of the ancestral ones have now reached a level of universality, right? Because I believe like Shango was a person who was alive at one point in life. So if you can explain what Oolokun is to me, then I can let you know. Uh, can you give out information on your workshop? Ndewo Moonshine, my workshop. So, okay, Moonshine, I think I know what you're saying. So, are you talking about the DBA class, the traditional medicine class? So, we have a traditional medicine class that we teach. It is taught by a real DBA. It's taught by our DBA Uzo, our in-house DBA. And the traditional medicine class is 3 months. You learn the different rituals. You learn how to be a DBO. You learn how to do traditional medicine. You learn how to communicate with the plants, how to communicate with the earth, how to access spirit, and so forth. Because for most DBAs, it's the plants themselves that tell you what they heal and what they do. So this is a class that we have on Patreon. If you are at the highest tier, the class is free. It just comes with it. You can just walk in if you want. Say, hey, I want to be a part of the medicine class. But if you are not at the highest tier, you can sign up at www.kedu.me. Phoenix, can you put the link to Kedu? Put the link to kedu.me. And then you click the orange button on kedu.me and you sign up for the Oolokun class, the traditional medicine. There are 2 levels, Oolokun 1 and Oolokun 2. And at both levels, I wrote a textbook for how to do Debia work, also how to do Afa, divination. I put up a vote on Patreon and I said, what class do you guys want me to open next? And overwhelmingly, I think people wanted to see an Afa class. They want to learn how to do Afa divination. So I may open that class next. If you guys are interested, just message me and let me know. You know, when it's opened, I'll send you guys a message like, hey, it's open. You can join now. So I'll do my. Let me see if I missed any questions because that was a whole lot going on. All right, hold on. I think I missed some questions. So I am going to more Uzi. More okay, so Agumwai. No, I mean more Uzi. UZI. I don't mean Uzi. More Uzi and more Uzi is different. More Uzi is like it's doing something, right? It's been sent to do something. It has been sent to do something, which is different from more Uzi. Uzi is the guiding spirit. UZI. Your chi is one of the 4 spirits that make up a person. You once said your chi always wins. So, yes. So, your chi has free will, but the other 3 don't and move to the beat of the chi thoughts. Oh, that's a good way of contextualizing it. That is a good way of contextualizing it. All right, hold on. That's a good way of contextualizing it. Don't move to the beat of your chi. Yeah, yeah. And this is going to sound crazy to people who grew up Christian, but when you face defeat, it's your chi that defeated you. When you face victory, it's your chi that gave you the victory. You understand? Now, question becomes, why was I defeated at this point? Why did I fall at this point? What was that all about, Mr. Chi or Mrs. Chi? Right? But yeah, that's a good way of contextualizing it. Hold on. The chi is like the music. The chi doesn't dance. The music doesn't dance out of its own rhythm. If someone is Igbo and has R1BY chromosome DNA, can they not claim Igbo ethnicity since R1B came from Europeans? So Africans don't do blood quantum, and I really think I'm really glad you brought this up because we need to address taking these like European systems of belonging and imposing it on everybody. Africans do not do blood quantum, right? I'll speak for Igbo people. I don't know what the rest of them fools are doing, but I'll speak for Igbo people. We do not do blood quantum, right? If your parents are Igbo, you're Igbo. Very specifically, if your father is Igbo, you are Igbo. If your father is Igbo and your mother is European, that European woman has just become Igbo. If your mother is Igbo and your father is Dutch, that Igbo woman has just become Dutch. So we do it based off of what your father is. That's why I said parents, because your parents are going to be the same thing no matter what. So I don't know about all this E1, B1, 6-1, D1, Bantu migration. I don't know anything about that. What I know is that you are what your father is. Now, very specifically, you're a member of the community your father is from. Okay? You're a member of the community your father is from. Okay, so if anybody has any questions on that particular aspect, because I do think I've been getting headaches from people making these blood quantum ass posts. Blood quantum is just a means of managing slaves. That's all it is, and it's for the Western Hemisphere because that's what the Western Hemisphere was built on, right? So not everybody does blood quantum and that kind of thing, and I don't think everybody should because that shit's kind of crazy, right? Are you familiar with SIIG? He's Christian Igbo apologist for the UK. No, I don't know him. Did he say anything about me? So if destiny exists, can someone swap destiny with you? I don't believe someone can, but a lot of people believe that destinies can be swapped. I firmly and absolutely do not believe destiny can be swapped. I'm thirsty. You're thirsty? Okay, do you want to go downstairs and get some water? Yeah. Okay, hurry up. I'll wait for you right here. No, come on. Okay, I'll get it. Come on. So, as I was saying, firmly believe destiny cannot be swapped. I think that's a lot of Nollywood superstition that gets called Odinani when it's not. But no, destiny cannot be swapped. Hold on. Yeah, I think all that is just some Nollywood shit. It's entertaining. It makes for a good story and a good movie. But I think Nollywood, for a long time, was the face of Odinani, unfortunately. And it created a lot of concepts and perpetuated concepts that are just not true and false. Here you go. That's from, yes, it is. Yes, it is. All right, drink. Right? It perpetuated a lot of concepts. I'm just going to stay down here. Perpetuated a lot of concepts that were just not true. And that kind of thing. So, all right. Where are we at? Sometimes I suspect my guide is my higher consciousness. Agonwa, your guide is your higher consciousness. It is. You are correct. All right, let me see if I missed any questions. So if destiny exists, can someone, okay, we already asked that. SIIG is your chi. Allah, God. When I say Allah, I mean Allah. Allah means earth, not Allah. No relationship to Allah, the Muslim Allah. It is Allah, right? Sometimes my American accent will lead me to saying Allah on accident or however I say it, or maybe used to say it. But Allah is not the same thing as Allah. Where are we at? Jail seal. Okay, Celia, I don't know what that means. If you want to explain that, it sounds like it'd be funny though. Okay, cool. So I'm caught up, I think. Where are we at? Okay, James in there. What? Okay, yeah, you're the one that asked about the DNA thing. Yeah, it's not blood quantum, so it's not based on blood quantum. Now, if you're able to find that you have Igbo DNA, excellent. You're good. That's good. You understand? Because a lot of our people disproportionately were sold in the transatlantic slave trade. And, we're eager to reconnect with our people all over the world and so forth. So if you're finding your DNA, then yeah, cool. Come on in. Try to find but the most important part, good, let's do this. The most important part is you try to find DNA cousins. You try to figure out what town, they're going to call it the village, what village the DNA cousins are from. And that is what you should focus on. That is what is important, okay? That's where everything begins and ends with that community, with your village, right? With your people. That's your ethnicity if you want to be real. You understand, right? So try to find out where your DNA cousins are from, and then go, okay, this is my town, and then go to your town. What did you
keep doing that?
Why do I keep doing that? Because I'm a shark. Okay.
But I don't want to play this game.
So
I'm a bit scared.
okay, no more sharks, no more sharks. Okay. So Agonwai says, nah, spiritual controls the physical. It's a two-way dance. It's a two-way dance. If my father has seen, my father has seen the current me when I was a child. I would like to say specific this. I ended up doing those very things and having spiritual psychosis. Aunt, I feel for you based on what I think you're sharing. If you want to, it sounds personal though. If you want to talk about it, try to just message me or email me, or if you're on Patreon, message me on Patreon if you want to talk about it more. But I can't go too far into your personal business here. But I appreciate you sharing. It takes a lot. Could you discuss whether Igbo culture relates drumming and interdimensional travel? Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Damn, good question. So drumming is a fundamental part of this process known as Igbo. Igbo is entering spirit. Why is drumming so effective in Igbo? Because in order to perform Igbo, you have to calibrate your heartbeat to a certain frequency. And few things are as effective at calibrating the human heartbeat than drumming. But one can calibrate their drum, which is their heart, to start playing a different song, and that different song will send you into a different space. Okay? So drumming, breathing, right? Both kind of percussive, are gateways for that travel. This is why a lot of Igbo is done with drumming. Igbo is entering spirit, right? So Igbo comes in different forms. There's a form of Igbo where you allow another spirit to enter your body, right? Spirit mounting. There's a form of Igbo where you yourself leave your body and access something else known as Ekili, right? Astral projection, as it's called in the West, right? Ekili, right? There is the Igbo where you don't necessarily completely release your spirit, but you fill yourself with a certain type of spirit. So maybe something courageous for war, right? Maybe something sensual if you're trying to be seductive. Maybe something creative if you're trying to create, right? Igbo gets done all over the world too. This form of Igbo I'm talking about gets it all over the world too. There's a reason why you go to music class and they start teaching you about all these Mozart and Beethoven and Bach. All that is Igbo. They're trying to fill you with that spirit, right? They're trying to fill you with that spirit. So, in a very terrestrial kind of basic way. There's more intense ways of doing it. And one of the intense ways of doing it is to apply ritual, and particularly with drumming, right? That's why all over these indigenous cultures, anytime Igbo, even in the West, anytime Igbo is being done, there's a drumming pattern, right? There's a drumming, right? Even in the West, they use beep, beep, beep for hypnosis and shit like that. So, dance steps, yeah, do. I think I got a donation. Damn, y'all were crushing it. Got him. Got him. All right, you did. Well, you say. Thank you very much. I forgot to come down with my bell, Brand. All smiles be. So I owe you a bell ring. I owe you a bell ring. I think Oolokun is the Orisha of the ocean. So the Oshimiri is the ocean. Oshimiri is the ocean, right? There's this really interesting thing I watched about polytheistic beliefs, right? Where it's talking about the Greeks, how in the at the earliest points of Greek spirituality and all that stuff, their abara were elements of nature. And then over time, they began to contextualize their abara as a thing that controls a thing of nature. So this thing is the something of the ocean. It's not the ocean itself, it's a spirit that owns the ocean. And this is a spirit that owns the sun and a spirit that owns the sky and all these different things, right? And it's just a way that gets framed. I think by the time, what's the story? They write some particular famous story. By the time of maybe, not the Trojan War. Anyways, by the time of some significant story in Greek history, they go from being the elements of nature themselves to a thing that owns the element of nature, right? And this symbolizes a shift into a thing that I now have beef with, known as utilitarianism, defining things by their function, understanding things by their function, utilitarianism, right? And I don't think that shift happened as far as Udinani goes. So when you say Oolokun is the maybe Orisha of the ocean, what I know is we have Oshimiri, but Oshimiri is it is ocean. It's source water, right? It's the source water. It's not a thing that controls or owns water. It is the water. It's the spirit of the water. If you want to communicate with like Idem Mili is not a thing that is like at the water headquarters. It is the river Idem Mili. It is the river Idem Mili, right? So I don't think that transition happened as far as Odinani goes. Eventually it might. So Oolokun might be Oshimiri, right? Might be. Or it might be a thing that controls Oshimiri. If that makes sense. Just depends how it's framed in the Yoruba context. Your cheese one. Okay, we read that. Is the chosen one close to returning? You are the chosen one. Dakram, you are the chosen one. We're all our own chosen ones. We are each other's chosen ones. Oolokun is the owner of the that's Brittany said that perfect. Is the owner of the primordial waters and all the oceans, everything in the water. Okay, good, perfect. So we don't have a thing that owns the water, right? We have, or you know what? We do have. Oh, no. Let me take that back. We don't have nothing. Oolokun is the water. Oolokun is both male and female, depending on the pataki. Okay. We have to chat to figure out how to allow me to post live links. I forgot. Yeah, you probably know more than I do, Phoenix. You probably know more than I do. Oolokun is the owner and creator of all currency treasures hidden in the earth and the ocean. Wisdom, there's no equivalent. Or the classes videos, the classes are live, moonshine. The all class is live. So you're alive, but then like if you miss a class, we do have replays. As a rule, the replays are up for a week, but I let them stay up as long as until I run out of space on my folder, which is usually about 2-3 weeks. So yeah, it's both. You can participate live, but if you miss it, you can catch the replay. I always recommend everybody go live rather than watch the replay because then you can ask the questions that are specific to you. Okay, so Uzi is not the same as Uzi. Thanks. Yeah, no, not the same. So we have Yemo Joa too, who is the Orisha of non-deep ocean water, but we don't know how deep. Ututuma. Udonwane. Samson Nazoka. I think this is my first time seeing that name here. So Udo. In Igbo, we don't believe someone is returning to save you. Exactly, right? Yeah, we don't believe anybody's returning to save you, right? Save you from what? Save you from what, my friend? Save you from what? Igbo compromises of how many clans? Oh, wow, good question. Igbo, good. Reginald, I peeped the spelling too. Much respect. I know what you're doing. I know what you're saying. So Udo. Igbo comprises of how many clans? It's uncountable. It's uncountable. I don't think anybody sat down and counted. And I'll explain, right? So clan is family, right? Clan is family. So so I'm going to talk about my town, right? Where I'm from. We all come from big ass family. So I come from a pretty big family. And if Okay, so in my village, every block, we will call it a block, though it's not designed like Western blocks, but every block is a family. So everybody in that block, known as a compound, we all have one common ancestor. So if I go to my backyard, our house is in the front. Um, if I go to my backyard, there's a circle of open space, and then surrounding that circle is a bunch of houses. Everybody who has a house there has a common ancestor with me, known as Ukwebu, right? Ukwebu is one of the sons of Emenaha. So if I step outside of the Ukwebu compound, my side of town descends from Emenaha. Okay? So my side of town, so a bunch of squares, right? A bunch of blocks descend from Emenaha. And this is one family. Now, take that times like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, then you have my segment of Awa Mama known as Umokwe. And then Awa Mama is overarching over Umokwe and has a bunch of different. Umokwe is one community in Awa Mama. And then Awa Mama is one of probably 100 towns in my own Imo state. And there's Anambra State, there's Imo State, there's Abia State, there's Ebonyi State, there's did I say Abia? There's Abia. There's Delta. There's rivers. There's cross rivers. There's Benue. So do that math over that. And that's to tell you how many clans there are. So it's an uncountable amount of clans, right? An uncountable amount of clans. And they increase by the day. Some of them be having civil wars and splitting off. Okay, we're now, like we had a teacher in Kedu. She changed last names of in the middle of her time with Kedu, because her clan split in two, and she didn't want to answer the name of the other side, so now she's on this side. So it's an uncountable amount, right? Got him. All right, then. Found out I had 1% DNA from Benin. That's dope, Brittany. That's dope. Benin City or Benin Country? Benin City or Benin Country? I'm gonna guess Benin Country. A lot of people were taken from that area. That's former Dahomey and Ewe and a bunch of other groups. And a lot of people were taken from there. It was known as the Slave Coast. A lot of people were taken from that region due to the amount of war going on between Dahomey and its neighbors, Dahomey and Oyo, that kind of thing. I reconnected to 3 of my transatlantic cousins and said, okay, we spoke for the first time today. Ise, Agunwai, how was that? Please tell me stories. Tell me stories. Tell me stories. How was that reconnection process for you? How was that? Tell me stories. And bring them here, because let them know that we're all chilling here. We're learning and reconnecting. I think if your mother is Igbo, your father is not, you're still welcome. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so let me be clear, because like when we say these things, you're not. It's okay. So if your mother is Igbo and your father is not Igbo, you're what's known as Nwanwa Igbo. You are Nwanwa Igbo. That means if you are in, and let's leave. I mean, okay, if you're in your mother's community, you have a different type of status. That status means you can't work. So nobody's gonna ever tell you to go on an errand. You're not allowed to, you don't go on errands. You're like a diplomat, like a dignitary. Nobody's gonna send you on errands. Nobody can assault you or beat you. Nobody can insult you. Nobody can make you uncomfortable. You're welcomed like you're referred to as Nwanwa Ndibo. Nwanwa is like our baby, our child. Right, so you're not. It's not like, oh, your father is not Igbo, you can't come here. That's some that's some old American ass Jim Crow. But you can't, you don't belong here. Right? We don't do that. That's not what I mean. Right. Sometimes when I say these things, I have to be mindful of how it translates to the ear of somebody that's not used to this system. It's not like you're rejected. Right. We don't. That's weird. We don't do that. Right. That kind of thing. But the community you belong to in our culture is the community of your father. And your mother knew that when she married your father. She consciously said, okay, I'm going to be German now. That's okay. That's fine. Is there any name for the giant black snake that comes down in and out from the clouds with a rainbow looking to shimmer? to the black body, it's female. Damn, Brittany, you're going deep. there is a there is a serpent that descends from the sky known as Eguregu. Known as Eguregu. Eguregu. Eguregu is also the rainbow spirit. It is also the rainbow spirit. Brittany, I don't know if you knew that going into that question, but you just touched on something that I haven't even brought up on this channel. So that was deep, and you're appreciated for bringing it up. Eguregu is the rainbow spirit. It is a serpent that descends from the sky into the earth and ushers in peace and a bunch of different things. Eguregu, Eguregu. Funny enough, if you go to like Benin City, like the Palace of the Oba, you'll see this python on the roof. This statue of a python. That's what's being depicted. It's Eguregu. They have a different name for it, but it's the same idea, same spirit. Yeah, so what you just described is Eguregu. Giant black snake comes down in and out from the clouds with a rainbow looking shimmer to the black body. It's female, has some connection to fractals. Brittany, that was so brilliant. Like, thank you for that. Thank you for that. I see Thor and Loki as Amadioha and Ekwensu. Am I mistaken?
Stuff.
Hard to say. Maybe. I don't know enough about Thor and Loki. What's up?
Can I watch stuff?
Can you watch stuff? You can watch stuff upstairs with your brother.
But she's doing stuff.
Okay. Do you want to take a nap?
No, I mean watch stuff with my brother.
You want to watch stuff with your brother? Okay, you can do that. I'll wait here for you. Okay. Yeah, so I don't know enough about Thor and Loki to make a direct comparison to Amadioha. But yeah, Thor has a lot of overlapping traits with Amadioha. I think Odin has a lot of overlapping traits with Agun, specifically Oke Agun, the male half of Agun. A lot of similar things, this whole concept of losing your eyes and things like that. I see parallels there. The reason I don't know, my hesitation is with Ekwensu and Loki, because Ekwensu, I think Loki is more of like a trickster. There's nothing tricky about Ekwensu, okay? There's nothing tricky about it. Ekwensu is very blunt and clear. People try to say that Ekwensu is like the trickster god, which I don't know what they mean by that, but I suspect, there's a lot of words I suspect, right? I don't know why everybody's got to have a trickster god except white people. I guess Loki's their trickster god, but or except Christians or Muslims. Who's the Muslim trickster god? You know what I mean? They might have one. Who knows? But I don't know if Loki and Ekwensu are parallels. I don't know if they parallel. But yeah, an argument can be made about Thor and Amadioha. Definitely. And then I see very loud ones between Odin and Agun. Oshun is the Orisha of the rivers, femininity, the waters, Oolokun, cool. If you find one of your great grandfathers is Igbo, does that mean that all the male descendants are Igbo forever? The male and the female ones, I guess, unless they marry and join something else. But yeah, all the Igbo for life, forever and ever and ever. Yeah, so that's why I'm saying, like, I don't. All this like blood quantum citizenship shit, man. That's them. That's like that's cow management systems. That's got nothing to do with us. Are we appointed a time to die in Odinani? Yes. Could it change due to using drugs or choosing? Oh, that's a good question. Are we appointed a time? Yes. This is a really tough question to answer because I don't think there's no like this is the answer. I think we discuss these things so much that you guys enter the space of like now you're like a philosopher, right? And so different philosophers are gonna have different ideas, and they can back it based on the tradition that they're citing. So now we're talking philosophy. We're up there now, right? We're having a very advanced conversation. Inodinani, there is a concept of dying before your time, or dying a death that's not of your chi. It's not your chi's death, right? Dying a death that is not of your chi is a death before a person. I'm trying to think of some things we use. So we use like three acts of ikwa to measure it, right? Ikwa mado, ikwa ikwa ikwachi, right? So to cultivate the human, the person, to cultivate wealth and to cultivate your chi. Okay, so for example, if a person in the Igbo tradition, if a person passes away before they can have kids, that is seen as not a death of your chi, like your chi. That's not. I don't explain it. It's not. You didn't die in your time, right? If a person passes before they marry, because marriage is considered entering adulthood, then that's another one. If ikwako is complicated because it doesn't necessarily mean that if you're not rich, then you die fucked up or something. But if you weren't able to take in the abundance of life, right? If you were not able to take in, cultivate, share the abundance of life, right? So somebody is held in captivity and they pass away. That's not seen as a death of their chi or by their chi. Um, and then ikwachi, if you did not live or sometimes you can be so far from the script that your chi will be like, all right, let's shut this one down. All right, let's shut this one down. I don't know what the fuck this one's doing, right? That means that you didn't die in conjunction or in peace with your chi. So those three acts or those three measures are, and it's a philosophical concept. Different people have different philosophies. Those three ones we use to see that kind of thing. So when we see things like drugs, all kinds of things like that, then that's not of your. I don't think that's of your chi. Now, here's the funny thing: in my community, they've officially made actually specifically drug addiction. They've officially made drug addiction aru in my community. Some psycho came back from some abominable ass country and decided that his contribution to the community was to introduce meth. And so he started making meth and he started selling meth to people and that kind of thing. And so there's this like wave of people doing meth for a minute in my community. Or maybe it was fentanyl, I don't know. And then they he's not doing that anymore. I'll just say that. And he's not doing that anymore and the wave is over. Let's say that, right? The wave is over. But one of the ways they ended the wave is that the community can make something out of, and by way of ritual, it's like a very intense process. And so they went to Allah and they made it in an aru that if you die from an overdose, you can't be buried, right? If you die from an overdose, you can't be buried. Now, all these things to an American ear is probably going to sound crazy, right? But that's just bear with me, right? Because I don't think y'all know. I don't think you guys have the answers when it comes to dealing with addictions and things like that, right? So the rule in the community is that if you overdose, you can't be buried. And that shit stopped people from even considering going in that direction because we take getting buried as a very serious thing. And you don't bury somebody that dies because of aro. So if you die because of aro, then you failed to do ipachi. Now, that's my community. Most communities don't have that rule, right? Which one is older, Yoruba or Igbo? Igbo is significantly older than Yoruba. Are you Okwe too? I'm Okwe Abia. Oh, yeah, I'm from Umokwe in Awom Mama in Imo State. So the town is Awom Mama, but my section is Umokwe. Odemma. Yeah. Igbo is older. Igbo is older. You guys know. It's Benin, the country. Okay. Odemma. Yeah, yeah. Caribbean. Can I study Igbo? Of course. Of course. You're one of us now. You're one Igbo. You probably heard what I just said. Igbo now. Clans are families. Okay, clans are families. Are they all blood related? Yeah, clan. Okay, actually, no. Clan, 9 out of 10 people are going to be blood related because it's common ancestor, right? There are exceptions, and I'll give you the exception. How does a family become a clan? What extreme circumstance or events makes clan even though families within are not blood related? No, no. Okay, so a clan means we have a common ancestor. So by fact, we're blood related. There are exceptions. For example, if your father and if for some reason your mother cheats and gets pregnant by another man's whatever, the child is still a part of the clan. It doesn't matter who the blood father is. If this is my wife and this she has this child, this is our child now, right? So kind of a king of the hill, John Redcorn Joseph situation. Right? So those are people, they're not paternally related, but it doesn't matter. Nobody cares, right? That's your brother, right? That's your sister. So there's a lot of clans that have also, like, for example, because we had slavery back in the day, so people who were enslaved are now a part of the clan that they were enslaved by, right? Um, which is not the same as Osu. People try to say Osu, so it has nothing to do with the fucking Osu. It has nothing to do with Osu. So a lot of people within your clan are not necessarily your blood relatives, but because they're in your clan now, you can't marry them. You're not allowed to marry them, right? Because it's the same thing. It again, we don't do blood. It's spiritual, right? If we've declared this is one of us, then you're one of us. That's just what it is, right? So those people have joined the clan by that way. So a lot of families have people who they're not blood related to, but they're still in their clan. They are few, and it's usually more rare, right? But 99% of families, everybody is, of course, blood related. Once you're in a clan with somebody, you, of course, can't marry them, can't engage, of course, intercourse with them. All that is aro. You can't engage in intercourse with their spouses either, right? Their spouses are also your family, so you can't do that. It's crazy, right? It's aro. How are clans created? Again, common ancestor. Common ancestor. So that one ancestor will have an awful. And that awful will pass down to their first son. And that one, he'll pass it to the first son, pass it to the first son. So that person becomes the Ejiofo of the clan. The Ejiofo of the clan. And the Ejiofo of the clan is more or less like the priest of the family. Whether or not the members of the family choose to pray, that person has to pray every morning on behalf of everybody in the family. Okay? And everybody else is optional. That person has to. When we go to, like, when we're having community congress, I just did a video on Igbo form of government. So we had these, like, congresses, and the person who will represent us in the Aha or the Ogwa, as some communities call it, will be the person, our Geofal, the person that holds the Ofal. Most traditionally, most of the time, any person with a title can also go represent. Oftentimes with the Geofal, when there's like a trial, like when a member of the family commits some kind of problem, the Geofal almost serves like somewhat of a lawyer. If it's like two families have an issue, like let's say one of my kids goes and breaks the head of my neighbor's kid, right? And we're not related. We're not under one awful. We'll then have a trial where a group of titled people will serve as the judges, and then the Ejiofo will speak on behalf of the person I'll speak on behalf of my son that committed the offense. Now, in the Ejiofo, because they hold the awful of the ancestors, they can't lie. They can no longer lie. It's a very much if I lie, I die thing, right? So because they can't lie, they're of course the best person to do the thing, and they'll know the character of the person. Can this person do this kind of thing? Can this person not do this kind of thing? They'll also negotiate the settlement of the situation. So clans are people under one awful. One awful is created by having one ancestor, one common ancestor. Okay, I am in line of being the Ejiofo of my family. Many, if not most families, will do it with the oldest man. But some will do it first son, first son, first son, first son, first son, right? But the oldest man within it, when usually when the clan is really big, it'll just be the oldest man within the clan is the Ejiofor, right? So so let me correct myself. My dad's a first son and my grandfather's a first son, and then his father is a second son. So starting from the that second son, Ukwebu, um, I'm technically, if we go by descendants, I'm gonna be the Ejiofor of that. But we have a system where we rotate by oldest man. So I'm gonna get my turn, everything get their turn, right? So Ademma. Now what's another one? What circumstance a family become a clan? Just size. It's just size. Big ass families, big ass families become clans. Extreme circumstance or events make a clan, even though families are not blood related, but they're mostly blood related. The only exceptions are people who have adopted members of their family. There's a story in my community with there was during the time of slavery, the slave trade, and there was this child. These slave traders were moving through our town, and they had this child who and they were carrying they had a child, and there was this man who was he was a dibia. He got saddened by this idea of this child being sold as a slave, so he goes up to the slave trader. This is like a true story. He goes, "Hey, what are you doing with my child?" He starts like fighting them, like, "What are you doing with my child?" Da, 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 da. It's not his kid. It's not his kid, right? And they ask the kid, "Is this your father?" And the kid goes, "Yes." And so because they both agreed, because I've called you father and I've called you son, you're now my son, and I'm not. That's it. It's over. So till this day, the descendants of that kid cannot have or cannot marry the descendants of the man who saved him because that's his son, right? And they're all up in there, that kind of thing. They're known, in the town. The story is well known and that kind of thing, right? So there's sometimes it's not blood related, but once we make that pact, we are spiritually related. That's what matters. Okay, can you explain Idu Oru Igbo? Yes, absolutely. So, okay, cool. So, is that what you meant by clans? So, those wouldn't be clans. I don't know what the word is for them, right? But they are the types of Igbo. They're the subdivisions of Igbo. They are the subdivisions of Igbo. So, there's Igbo, and then there's types of Igbo, right? So, there's Idu. Idu people are typically east of the Niger. I'm sorry, west of the Niger River. Typically, some of them crossed over, like Onitsha people are Idu. Sometimes I'll go by Ado. Onitsha people are Idu. And then there's a couple in Imo State. So they're people that crossed over, Idu people, right? Idu people are going to have a specific kind of culture. There's a specific kind of culture they're going to have. So, for example, Idu people will wear a lot of white, right? There's a certain type of fabric, indigenous fabric, I'll call it, that they make called aqua. I'm going to pronounce it wrong. Aqua cha, white cloth. Where you see the people that wear white cloth are typically Idu. Sometimes you'll see they'll tie it, they'll make a little bow or like a little tie on their shoulder, right? That's an Idu thing. Though anybody can do what they want, but typically that's what they do. So they wear a lot of white and they do this tie, they have a look, right? The Idu culturally, they have retained their Omo system. The Omo is the apex female leader. There's the Obi. Idu people typically have their apex leader for the men is an Obi, and then their apex leader for the women is an Omo. And they've retained it because during the Aba women's riots, they didn't join the riots, right? They didn't join. And because they didn't join, they didn't. One of the consequences of that riot was the colonials shut down a lot of those women's institutions on our side, on the other side of the Niger River. But they didn't join, so theirs was kept intact, right? So today they have an Obi and an Omo, okay? Oru, which is what I am. I am Oru, right? The Oru communities are communities whose land is owned by water, is owned by the river. So a lot of their spirituality and things like that is connected to water and the river and so forth, right? So the main Abara in my town is Njaba, which is the Njaba River, right? There's debate as to whether no, there's not really debate, but some people also say we're Isu, but that's a whole different thing, right? So that's Oru. Igbo. I don't know who would be referred to as Igbo because I think Igbo is interchangeable with Isu. With Isu. Okay. I don't know too much about Abaja, but I think they're in the Enugu area. But if they're who I'm thinking of around that Enugu kind of area, right? Um, there and then each of these groups are going to have their masquerades too. So each group has its masquerades that you might not see on another side. Like on my side, you're not going to see like Ajofia Newi. You're not going to see that or Ajofia. You're on. We have the one known as. Well, actually, no, because we're Oru, we have Owu, Owu, right? Owu, but you're not going to see Owu in Idu. You're not going to see Owu in Arochukwu, that kind of thing. Yeah. Um, if Abaja is who I'm thinking they're in what the Enugu area. Their masquerade society is Omabe, I believe. I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. I think it's Omabe, which is around ironsmithing. Okay. Nri is you're going to see Nri. The Nri clans are in today's Anambra state. They're going to have their own specific culture too, their own specific things they do, and so forth. Um, and then Isu is across the river from us in Imo State. Isu is by far the largest, right? Isu is by far the largest. Historically, when people said Igbo, I think they meant Isu. Historically, when people said Igbo, that term referred to Isu people, right? So Isu, there are some Isu in like in Delta, which is typically Edu, right? So they mix up too. It's not like a hardcore like this must be that, right? But Isu is gonna have its own traditions too, and that kind of thing, right? Isu is gonna have its own traditions and that kind of thing. So these are just subdivisions. You can differentiate them by like how they do their culture and how they do their masquerades and what masquerades you'll see, what spirits you'll see when you go there, that kind of thing. That's how the different divisions are. One of the ones you're missing is Arochukwu, right? Or not just Aro, just Aro. So Idu Oru, I'll go ahead and Igbo, that's fine. Um, Abaja Nri and Isu and Aro. Okay. Aro is similar to Nri. A lot of their tradition is priestly. They do a lot of priestly things, right? Um, Aro and both Aro and Nri historically did not fight wars. Like they don't fight, right? But they get people to fight for them. They have mercenaries, right? Um, I think there are villages within Inri that can fight, but the core Inri doesn't do that, right? Yes, Nandi. I'm downstairs. Please stay up there, oh.
Wait, you told me to stay up there?
Okay, what's up?
I made a new level. I want to show you it. It looks like a multiplayer geometry dash.
Okay, fine, bring it.
That's how cool it is.
All right, bring it. So those are different, but they're not clans. Clans are family. These are just like cultural types. There's a lot of creation stories about how all the different culture types came to be. I don't have a word. I don't know what the word is for it. Right? Can you turn the volume down? Volume down? Oh,
Sorry.
this is why I didn't want to do that. Okay, let's do this when I'm done. I'm almost done. Okay. Hey, you guys, I'm gonna meet you upstairs. Okay. All right.
Me and my sister.
The ocean could not divide exert all Dema. Okay, it's hard to find the names of ancestor spirits that have been working with me, but they just look like fractals facing each other, blue and black skin. Wow, Brittany, I would love to talk to you about what you're tapped into because that's really interesting, right? That's and you know your situation better than I do, so I can't say too much on that. Can I spell the rainbow spirits? Uegwuegw. Wait, no. Egwu. Egwurugwu. Eguregu, I believe, right? Eguregu, right? It's also the word for play in Igbo, playing, right? Eguru, eguregu, eguregu, eguregu. Adema. All right, facts. In America, it's black folks live complete matriarchy, and the majority of our women here keep the kids. Oh boy, yeah. Bull. Hey man, we're getting too deep. Mother side is giving all the credit. It's sad AF. We're getting too deep. Oh man, yeah, no, we're getting to that's deep. Eguregu, thank you, Rayx. Thank you so much. I'm trying to show your comment. Oh, another moderator handled this. Okay, good. But yeah, no, you're from wherever your father's from in the Igbo tradition. It came out of the ceiling tiles in a dream. I believe you. I'll do mine. Tell us more about the rainbow serpent. Yeah, Eguregu. Not something I'm super well versed in, guys. I don't know. Is it like Dambala? Phoenix, I don't know anything about Dambala. I'm not super well versed in the rainbow serpent, right? I'm not very well versed in the rainbow serpents. But it's there. But it's there. It's there. Yeah, I can't share too much. I can't share too much because I'm not well versed. When I learn more, you guys will hear me talk about it for years. So, but right now, no. Eguregu the rainbow. Yes, yes, yes. Adama. Voodoo, tiny voices. All. Cloud gazing, a part of the teaching. Absolutely. 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 You are in community with every element of nature. You are in community with every element of nature. And you can spend time with the clouds the way you can spend time with a neighbor. You can spend time with the clouds the way you can spend time with your kids or your significant other or whatever. Okay? So if your chi is telling you to go cloud gaze, go cloud gaze. You can use the elements of nature to also learn and be you can be guided by the elements of nature, right? I get a lot of my cues on how to be a father from my chi. I get a lot of cues from my own father. I get a lot of cues from the sun. I get a lot of cues from the sun. And this is available to everybody. Okay? The Muslim trickster god is called Shaitan. Okay, so Satan. Yeah. Trickster, no. Ikwensu is a negotiator. Yes. Loki is more mischievous than Ikwensu. Absolutely. Absolutely. Ikwensu is more sharp and competitive than tricky. Ikwensu is more sharp and competitive than tricky. Okay? So I don't know why Ikwensu gets likened to like a trickster spirit. I ain't never seen that. Ikwensu's not tricking it. Ikwensu's also blunt and bold and loud and explosive. Right? There's nothing tricky about an explosion. You know. But Ikwensu, with that energy in you, your capacity to negotiate is sharper. Right? Your capacity to compete is sharper. Okay? So that's what that spirit is. I don't think maybe Loki will make you fucking do riddles and shit. I don't know. But that's not the same as Ikwensu. Yeah, I don't know why Ikwensu is a trickster. It's a new age concept. I think sometimes, Rayx, sometimes I'm weary about these terms, right? Sometimes I'm weary about these terms. Trickster, tribe. I think it's just the N-word. I think there's a lot of people whose purpose in life is to say the N-word. And if they can't say the conventional N-word, they invent little funny N-words. And I'm weary of these terms. Trickster, tribe, the god of. It's a whole different rant. If it doesn't make sense, just trust me, it makes sense. Huh? Who must be worshipped in Odinani? You don't have to do anything in Odinani. Nothing must be worshipped, right? If you worship God, then you worship God. But there's no Odinani. As far as Odinani goes, it's not like if you worship Buddha, you're gonna go to Odinani hell. That's not how it works. Odinani will help you understand Buddha. Odinani can help you understand Allah. It can help you understand all these different things, right? What are you actually saying when you're saying? What are you actually doing when you're doing these things? Why are you wearing white on that day, right? What is Ash Sunday? Why ash? Why does it have to be ash from a palm? Why did Jesus enter the thing with the palm? Why do Aro people go from town to town holding a palm? It'll help you understand it. But it's not like you must worship this, you understand? But most people worship their chi. Most people worship their chi. Okay? So everybody has their own chi. All right? Everybody has their own chi. Had this idea that Ekwensu is the god of equilibrium. Yeah, Chidera, you're kind of correct. Yeah. Ekwensu relates to equilibrium. You're 100% correct. Ekwensu is in the house of Nkwo. Nkwo relates to equilibrium, balance. You're 100% correct. Yeah, you you did it. Ekwensu is a manifestation of a thing called Ogu. Okay? Amadioha is a manifestation of a thing called Ogu. Udo, think of the word Udo, peace, is a manifestation of a thing called Ogu. Ogu is the balancing principle of existence, right? So if there's a seesaw and a thing gets knocked down, it's Ogu that brings the other one up. When you slap some water and it ripples, it's Ogun that brings it back into balance, equilibrium. All these different spirits, Amadioha, Udo, Ekwensu, Igwe, they're all Ogun in different houses. Oke Agun, the male Agun, they're all Ogun in different places. They're all the Ogun element, and Ogun is balance. Ogun is equilibrium. You know, when you look at the Egyptian walls and you see Ma'at, the feather, and your spirit has to balance with the feather, that is Ogu. That concept is Ogu. The symbol for Nkwa is the feather. The symbol for Ogu is the feather. The symbol for Ekwensu is the hawk. Feathers is the hawk. The symbol for Amadioha is the eagle. Feathers. So it's all there. Yeah, you got it. That was good. The Christian trickster is Satan. Okay, I can see that. Egwegu is a masquerade in Anyoma, or Dema, I believe it. Egwegu, rainbow serpent, he's talking about. Yes. Satan, the horns, the tail, pitchfork dude. No, there's not. Talked to an Igbo guy online. He said that his Dibia teacher told him that to be a true Dibia, you have to be poor. I already know he's being hustled. He was only 27. What are your thoughts? No. Hey, check this out. He's not 100% wrong. He's not 100% wrong. Okay? Dibias are often not materially wealthy. He's not 100% wrong. They're not materially. The spirit of Agon is not a wealthy spirit. Right? Or I'm sorry, the Agon of a Dibia, Arobin Agon, he's not 100% wrong. Right? I know what the Dibia is saying. Right? So it's not a matter of to be a true Dibia. Well, yeah. The spirit you're embodying as a Dibia is not a rich spirit. So if you think of very famous Dibias outside of Igbo culture, right? You're not talking about Elon Musk. You're not talking about Jeff Bezos. It is a path. It is a path that is enhanced by poverty. You're talking about the Buddha. You know how the Buddha gave up all his belongings, and then he became one with his Agon, with his chi, enlightenment. That's kind of a similar thing. Jesus, story of Jesus. All the monks that go into become a monk, you go into the mountains, you go into the forest, you go into the woods, you do all these things. Yeah, Dibia is not what you do if you're trying to become rich. That spirit is not, it's not into wealth. It's not into wealth by nature. So if you're a true Dibia, that's just going to be your nature. If you hear that and you're like, whoa, you're not a Dibia. You understand. So he's not wrong. The Dibia is not wrong. It's not a hustle. It's true. It's true. Right? You can't Dibia your way into some money. Right? I don't know. That's why a lot of people run from it. That's why a lot of people run from it. But yeah, you don't Dibia. But there historically been a lot of rich Dibias anyways. Historically. But they tend to take on titles like Nze. Ozo. If you're Nze Ozo, you're also a Dibia. But those ones tend to be rich. Right? So, by the way, I had this conversation with very, very, very knowledgeable authority on Ifa. And he was explaining that to me that a Dibia and a Babalawo are not equivalent. They're not the same thing. But a Babalawo is closer to an Nze or an Ozo. And I was like, okay, that makes way more sense. Because I was suspecting it. That there's a different title in the Yoruba tradition for the equivalent of Dibias, and people run from them. People run from them, and they tend to live in the woods. Right? I had 4 near-death experiences in the last 10 years. Wow. Yeah. Okay, Brittany, if you want to talk, I'm here. Are all Igbo expected to have kids? Yes. If someone dies in 99 years old, but was childless, did they die before? Yes, they are. Yeah. Everybody's expected to have kids. Right? And so if they reach 99 and they didn't have kids, it's seen as a tragedy. It's seen as a tragic thing in the family, right? It's like, oh, unfortunately, right? That kind of thing. I remember one time one of my cousins was like, damn, I feel bad for Obama. I was like, why? Like, he doesn't have a son. It's not even just have kids. You have to have son and daughter, most specifically son, but definitely daughter, right? But he's like, dang, he doesn't have a son. I was laughing. I was like, yeah, people in America they don't. That's not their mentality. They don't care. There's this, I love this channel. It's like Voices from the Past. It reads like different historical documents and things like that. I was thinking about doing something similar because I have a lot of documents from the past, right? And one of them was this Japanese person in the 1800s that came to America, and he's like that. He was looking forward to meeting the descendants of George Washington, and he was appalled that not only did nobody know who the hell his descendants were, they didn't care. And then only one person would say, yeah, I think there's one living in this one town. He keeps saying he's a descendant of George Washington. So it blew his mind. So in this culture, American culture, you don't think about things like that. But in Igbo culture, yeah, you definitely have to have kids, right? Ideally 4 or more, and all genders represented. But yeah, if a person dies without kids, then yeah. You can adopt, though. You can adopt in Igbo culture. Then you would also have kids by surrogate. All that counts. All things are force? Okay, I don't know. All things are force and have spirits. So does drug? Nothing perceived as good or bad can have foreign in this world because well, we know that things give life and things take life away. We know that things give life and things take life away. And when things take life away, we as humans have the right of correction to intervene. Oh, you're from Imo? My paternal ancestry traced back there. Ah, okay. Let me find out we're cousins. Perhaps, maybe. Either way, it will win them. Yeah, your family. I'll do mine. I had a dream from a near-death experience. Identical twin lights. I'll do mine. No, Brittany, I appreciate you sharing what you're sharing because it's super interesting. Fractal in nature. Brittany, I don't know if you're on Patreon, but if you can find my email address in the description, we can talk, okay? Because a lot of what you're sharing is keep sharing if you want to too. Is there anything about the 7th son? Nothing that I know about. But it sounds like you've encountered something that perhaps you can share with me that I don't know, right? Don't be afraid to teach me. I'm learning from you guys as much as you're learning from me. So yeah, I don't know anything about the seventh son. So if you want to share about that, that'd be dope. Say if it was a circumstance, I mean, have family, claim my family, though we have different family names, but we all come from the same plantation. Black community, shared land. Is that a clan? Yeah. Y- You would have to tell me how clan is defined in your culture, right? You would have to tell me how clan is defined and accepted in your culture. Every culture is going to have their way of defining it, right? But you'd have to tell me how it's defined in yours. I would say that if you have common ancestor, that's a clan. Okay, common ancestor, that's a clan. You would have to let me know if you consider being from the same plantation as clan. I think it could be. If somebody made the case for it, I would go with the case. I think because it's the same. You guys, you've been putting the same thing generations. You're all here, that kind of thing. Yeah, I would see that as a clan. A Moonshine says so. It cannot be a daughter. Moonshine, do you want to elaborate on your question? I think I lost the context. My dad's family is huge. My grandfather had 7 wives. I met the oldest living sibling last year, and he's the Ichiofo. Yeah, Ademma. Hey, Becky. Always good seeing you. Udo one. My fam is from Imo States. Bella Udo. Where in Imo are you from? Igbo is an ethnicity that comprises of many Igbo tribes. Rex, you said it perfectly. Very good. Colonialists got rid of the Omo of Onitsha with the help of the Obi of that time period due to the rivalry between them. You see this bullshit? You see? Yeah. I think everybody on our side of the river that did the Aba Women's War, whatever women authority you had, you guys had to get rid of it. There was a lot of gentlemen, a lot of men that were eager to go ahead and get rid of it because now I don't have to argue with women to get things done, right? I don't have competition. I'll be the apex leader, which is what the British wanted to establish because it's easier for them to control and manage. They want to replicate their system. I go to one person, that one person makes the rules. I'm not going to go to your little African ass court and start arguing with everybody the way I'm supposed to, right? My husband land is in Imo States. I'm Abia, even though it was originally part of Imo. Yeah. If your husband is from Imo, you're Imo. You're our wife. He will wing eye, right? If you're if your husband's from Igbo, you're from Igbo. Yeah, so Idu, Nri, Oru, Isu, Abaja, and Aro are the largest tribes. I believe it. How can I learn the creation stories? I share them here. I've made videos. Um, if you type in like Igbo creation story medicine show, you'll see something. My very first video is a creation story, and the creation stories are very interesting because they follow like a sequential order, but then like each episode, different per people have different versions. So earlier I told the story of Agon balancing all of the Abara on its head. There's another version of the story where Chuku asks all of the Abara to name the 4 market days in order, and only Aghon was able to do that. So Chukwu then knew that Aghon was all-knowing and told the rest of the Abara to tear Aghon apart and eat a part of Aghon so that they'll have Aghon within them. Now, the story I told with the balancing and the eating, it's the same story. It's the same episode, right? Just 2 different ways of telling it. You understand? The story I tell the story about Odachi Nebere, where Eke is shattered into pieces. There's a version of it where Chukwu himself tears Eke apart because he got angry, right? And then he became remorseful and started crying into tears. Same story. So there are many creation episodes. One episode tends to follow another, tends to follow another, tends to follow another. The 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 oh god, why can't I think? I can't think of it. why can't I think of it? The four world ages. The four world ages. If you understand the four world ages, you can actually place all the stories in order, right? There's a story where Agun and okay Agun, but it's called Agun the story. Agun the man is attached to Agun the woman, and then Agun the man is trying to do something and tear. It's just the same thing as a true story, right? So you can learn the creation stories. I've told them on the channel. But then there are versions that I haven't told, and I will be telling over time, that kind of thing. So just watch the channel, Brittany. And then if there's a specific one you have a question of, just ask me, okay? Tribes who live near the water, deal with water spirits, seem to be the most intuitive. That's from any culture. Observations. Yeah, some can say that. Some can say that. Also ones that live in mountains. Also people that live in mountains. Yeah. So yeah, absolutely. You call it egu. My side call it egu. Okay, maybe. I think it's sad that you allow. I think it's sad that we allow patriarchy to control our relationships. Moonshine practice. My side practice matrilineal, patrilineal is for the name. Mother side, that kind of thing. Okay. Agonwai, are you from Ohafia? Are you from Ohafia? Have you heard anything about the original Igbo people? So here's the thing. When you guys use the term patriarchy, keep that shit with white people. I think white women put that term together to describe all the horrible shit white men have done to them. We didn't do that to our women. So that's them, right? We got our own thing. It has problems. Name the problems what the problems are named, right? But all this shit, they used to put like have you seen like a bride's, what is it called? A bride's scold? It's like this metal mask where if your wife pops off too much, you put a metal mask on her face and tighten it, and then she just walks around town, she can't talk. We didn't do that shit. So don't put that on us. You know what I mean? Don't put that on us. You know, the male authority is not the villain on this side, if that makes sense. Don't put that on us, right? You notice that, you know, when Europeans get a whole thing, they do it kind of weird. You understand? They do it, they OD. You understand, right? Or they like, somebody's gonna get hurt, right? Somebody's gonna get hurt, you know? So, like, I'm trying to think of an example. Like, I had this conversation with somebody, and this is too much. I don't think we'll be able to handle this conversation. It's all good, but yeah, don't put that on us. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, what's the picture? My dad? That's cool as hell. You know? That's cool as hell, you know? So, yeah, you know what I mean? But maybe on that side they're not, but that's them, right? But again, our social system has its own problems. But let's talk about those problems. Let's not just fucking, you know what I mean? Just because, okay. You know what I mean? Let's not do that, you know? Oh, damn. A patriarch just means a man. I'm a patriarch. I'm a patriarch. I'm the head of my household. Am I bad? You know what I mean? Am I bad? Is anybody harmed by the idea of me being, you know what I mean? I think I'm about to lose y'all. You know what I mean? Or maybe, you know, that kind of thing. So yeah, let's not do that, right? You know what I mean? There was no such a thing as, you couldn't have your own money. You had to wear a fucking chastity belt. You had to put a goddamn iron mask on your face if you talk too much. You know what I mean? No, there's none of that shit. I can kill you. We didn't do that, right? Now we have our own problems, right? Abuse existed. You know, I can go on and on, right? But just don't, when you did these. That's why I'm always hesitant about, like, when we use these terms. I'm always like, I don't know about, like, oh, is this the equivalent of that? Yeah, I don't know, right? Because if I take that term and I got to inherit all the bullshit you did over there, I don't even think you use the term patriarchy for, like, Black American men, right? You can't. They didn't do that shit to you. You know who did it. You know, you know what I mean? Like, let's just call it white guys being on some bullshit, right? Let's just call it that. You understand, right? I don't know. What do you guys think? Makes sense. We got to use words meticulously. I think we're using. It's about the spelling. I didn't mind. Is there a psychopomp figure in Odinani, like one that walks people to the underworld? Yeah, Obunabali is the term. Obunabali. Sirius Ugo. I don't know if you guys know Sirius Ugo, but he had a vision, and he was very correct. He had this vision about this concept known as Nemo, Nemo, who we've been calling Obunabali because that's the one that got popular on the internet, but her name is Nemo. So she is the one that moves you from life to death and then from death to life. Nemo. And the reason I know his vision, he told me his vision, right? And he depicted her and everything like that. I was like, that's dope, like I get it. And then I was talking to this author. His name is Chigozie Obioma. He was in my old hometown, and we had an opportunity to meet. And we were talking and talking. We were talking about these masquerades in our towns. And he talked about this one known as, I think, I want to say the name was very similar to Nemo. And he said that it's both male and female. So it was female, but it also had a peen, right? I'm trying not to get kicked off of this thing. It had a peen, right? And he says that he'd be curious to see how it's interpreted in outside of Igbo culture, right? That is interpreted, that kind of thing. Because we were talking about this. Anyways, we were having one of those conversations where, either way, right? But it has both male and female parts, and as he described it, it's this spirit that carries you into death, right? I was like, okay, that's really interesting, because I just talked to this guy and he had a vision of the same thing, right? So yeah, Nemo, Obunabali. Someone will call it Obunabali, some will call it Nemo, and then I think his Chigozie's community, which is somewhere in Abia State, they had a different name for it. So Nemo is the one I use. Facts that there's bird feather in every tradition that represents that concept. There you go. No, it's not Ogun. I think Ogun is more of Ogungun. I don't know too much about Ogun. Yeah, I know what he. Okay, yeah, some people's destiny used to be wealthy. Does adoption count? Yes. Our culture fully acknowledges adoption. Does Ekwensu deal with the balance of karmic injustice? Now, one of the things we can talk about that needs to be worked on in our culture is even though we acknowledge adoption, there's this pressure that you must physically have a child, right? There's this pressure you must physically have a child, which is dangerous for a lot of people, which is not what a lot of people want to do. You understand? So, but even though adoption is acknowledged, the preferable is if you adopt, then you should also have physical children, right? And then some people will be assholes if you just have like a full adopted family, right? Some people might be rude. Yeah, so that's something we can talk. I don't want to inherit other people's shit. Like, we got our own problems. Let's talk about our problems. You know what I mean? Talking about some goddamn patriarchy. That's y'all. You know? And nobody archying anybody in Africa, right? That archy shit came with slavery. Anyway, there's no archy. We're not archy people. Okay? We're not archy people. You understand?
Can I start my level now?
Yeah, sure. Go bring. Be quick. Not necessarily clan plantation. They usually break up family and village. Okay. That is true. What are your thoughts on combining spiritual traditions, especially for descendants and diaspora? I think all this, like, I don't, it's fine. It's okay. Ultimately, if you're following the African way of doing it, ultimately you're going to create something that is very specific to you. Okay? And if your ingredients are coming from all these different places, so be it. The average Debia, now I'm very like, I want to do it this way. The average DB you talk to give me headaches because they mix up all types of crazy shit. Go ahead. I'm sorry, no, go ahead.
Yeah.
My son wants me to play his video game level. Hold on. Why do I have stuff following me?
Do you?
There you go. But yeah, head up. Thank you. So yeah, the average Debia at home, they mix up stuff. They add stuff in. Oh, this is the Virgin Mary. This is Moses. This is Buddha. This one is Ago. This one is Aruginago. They just do. That's kind of how their mind works. That gives me a headache. I don't do that. So in the diaspora, that's more common because of circumstance and so forth. That's fine, right? Ultimately, you are seeking truth and you are abiding by truth and you are connecting with and understanding creation. And lessons will come from all types of different places. There's an Ilu that says you don't stand in one place to watch a masquerade. You don't stand in one place to watch a masquerade, right? So yeah, the combining spiritual traditions, that's cool. I don't do it, but it's just my own choice and habit, right? Making my own headway. Mike, thanks for everyone who gave me the website suggestion. I'm 6+ generations deep. He said, Becky, that's amazing. That's awesome. Yes, it's a scold's bridle. It holds the tongue in place. You see what I'm saying? Like, we didn't do that. So don't put that on me. We did our own stuff. Yeah, we did our own stuff. Call my issues my issues. Don't give me this Trojan horse of BS that I now have to answer to. I don't know nothing about that nonsense. Or they put them in them little fucking things and they'd, I'm sorry. They put them in them things where their head and their arms. We didn't do that. That's y'all. You know what I mean? Right? So let's use Western stuff to define the West. Let's use our stuff to define us, okay? Western patriarchy and matriarchy is not world standard. It's just a version that's the loud. Yeah. It's just loud and it's everywhere. And it's got CNN and all these things that broadcast it all over the world and that kind of thing. But it's not, that's just not. That archy, yeah, not everybody archied. You know, the archy is the important part. The archy is the important part. Not everybody archied, right? Now, do men have authority in their house? Yeah, absolutely, right? Absolutely, right? But did they like put on like metal masks and skin you and pour boiling water on you and kill you legally and all? No. No. You know what I mean? No. So let them people handle their own stuff. Oh, you can't have land and you can't have money and you... No. Okay? That's their history. We have our own BS that we did. Right? Over here. Let's talk about our terms, right? All this stuff. You know, any crazy thing a white person does, everybody has to account for it. You know, that's them. Let them have it. You know? It's like nobody ever goes, oh, did you guys, let's talk about foot binding. We know who did that, you know? But all that other shit just put on us. So no, it's not patriarchy is not unfortunate. Patriarchy just means a man is in charge, right? That's what it means. A man is in charge, right? Now, did we archy in my part of Africa? Not that much. Not really, right? Not really. Once you understand who we are, I'm talking to you. Once you understand who we are, you'll understand that the actual confusion is the archy. That's not us. We didn't do that, right? Somebody on TikTok was saying there was no kings in the whole of West Africa. And I said, damn, this is a bold statement because a lot of these fools think they had kings, right? Igbo people will tell you they don't have kings, but a lot of these other fools will say, yeah, they did have kings. And he broke it down. I was like, oh, that's the exact system we have. And yeah, no, they weren't. They were priests. But we can't call them priests anymore because people are scared of Juju. So now we got to call them kings. But they're not kings, right? Even the Obi of Onitsha can't really tell somebody in Onitsha what to do. But if you see that bastion of wisdom as a source of your answers and you go and you ask him a question, he'll give you an answer. The Omo is not telling people what to do. She's not commanding people. I have this video. I had clips of it in my last video. Almo was like the women's leader, right? And she's like, and they like, what's in the video is like, what does your day entail of? She's like, I think she said 70 or 80% of what I do is praying. And then I sit and I settle disputes, right? And that's what the OB does too. The OB is communicating with the ancestors, praying, communicating with the ancestors, praying. And then he sits and settles disputes. Now that's not archy, right? Queen Elizabeth, that's archy. Queen Elizabeth is on some, oh, I like your land. It's mine now. That's archy, right? King, King James, all them. It's feudalism. We didn't do that. We didn't do that. And I'm not going to inherit that with them terms. You all keep that over there, right? Because we have to describe our reality based on our reality. I don't even think Black American men, you can't qualify that as, they didn't do that shit. They didn't do that shit. You know what I mean? That's a whole different conversation, man. And there's enough of that floating around online. This is no, you know what I mean? Everybody always talking about that nonsense. So if that's your thing, you can find it elsewhere. But no, I don't think that's a universal term. I think that's a term for the very specific relationship that is used to construct gender in the European post-feudal context. Androgynous male and female. Yeah, America's only 286. It can only define humanity's history. Exactly, right? But yeah, nobody will ever listen to that. But Brandon, nobody wants to hear that. I can say it 100 times. Nobody wants it because America packages its stuff with good marketing, and so it's digestible for people that love marketing, and they don't want to hear anything else. They don't want to hear anything from any other context. They have to equivocate. What is this version of that? What is that version of this? Right? So, hope you guys can understand what I'm saying. Oh, I didn't know you were going live. Hey, Diana, and there one day. I posted it in the WhatsApp. No. Okay, I didn't post it in the WhatsApp. Okay, my bad. I posted it in the Oolokun 2 and beyond WhatsApp. The Utuago. Sorry, someone is talking to me. And okay, if one of your grandfathers is found to be Igbo, all male descendants are Igbo. I think I already read that part. Yeah, if you're a grandfather, then yes. Epigenetics proves that adopting a child will be genetically inherit the genes surrounding family members. Oh, okay. Epigenetics prove that adopting a child will genetically inherit the genes of surrounding family members in its environment. All right, ancestors were right again. Ancestors were right again, right? Ancestors were right again. So that's really, Brittany, you are on fire tonight. Each culture has their own depth of innovation with torture. Yeah, that's true. That's true, 100%. Black folks, mostly men, don't like the word patriarchy. I just mean men harming and controlling women. Okay. I just mean men harming and controlling women. Folks get that, understand it, and can point to examples in our history and our culture. Yeah. Okay. I agree with that. Yeah. So if we're talking about men harming women, yeah. There's men harm women in Igbo culture too. Absolutely. That archy. Yo. All right. So YouTube allows to resume if the live was shut off. This is great. Ndewonu, y'all. I was on a rant and ran out of battery. So we're back. I think his phone died. I'll. Yeah. You say. All right, we are back. I'm probably going to be wrapping it up though, right? So the last place I left off was we need a shirt with that Archie quote. I think I need to elaborate, right? Now that I've had time to cool off, I need to elaborate on what I mean by this Archie of a thing, right? So I think that so much effort is put into Igbo culture to assure that one thing doesn't dominate its equivalent, right? Madu, more Chineke, then everything is divided in those twos. And they are not opposing, they don't fight each other, right? In America, you're taught as a 5-year-old that things have opposites, right? That the opposite of cat is dog. Then you watch cartoons and the cats and the dogs are fighting, and that's just what opposites do, right? Once the line is drawn, we have to now start fighting. In the Odinani worldview, everything comes in the world as twos. These twos are not opposites. They don't oppose each other. They are one in the same. They are two manifestations of the same existence. Okay? And there's a lot within Odinani, within Igbo culture, to assure that one thing doesn't dominate the autonomy of the other thing, right? Because we understand that by nature, you don't need an overarching power to create harmony, right? For example, I always use the example of African music to explain the African worldview, because I think music is one of the places we allow ourselves to be honest about who we are, right? Everywhere else we start hesitating and acting goofy. But when it comes to music, that's why nobody can see us in music, right? And in all forms of African music, right, there's no conductor. Nobody's really in charge. There's no, you must do it this way. That doesn't exist, right? It's always, you play what you want to play, and then I respond with what I'm inspired to respond with. And that makes another person respond with what they're inspired to respond with, right? We think about, right, we're all listening to the Clips album, right? Pharrell will make the beat. Pusha T will put his verse in there. Malice will put his verse in there. None of them told each other what to do, but there was harmony. There was no archy. There's no archy in the process of creating these songs. Okay? This is the way your ancestors made Ogene. This is the way your ancestors made Juju. This is the way your ancestors made high life. This is the way your ancestors built communities. This is the way your ancestors governed, the way your ancestors did court, the way your ancestors did relationships, that kind of thing. We're animated by the spirit, and that spirit itself will create harmony. Nobody is telling the other person what to do. So there was this person, he was talking about how there was no kings in West Africa. Everybody was arguing with them. No, we have kings in Ghana. This one's a king, this one's a king. He's like, no, these are all priests. These are all priests. All of them. Every single one of them is a priest. And that if you go check what they do, they pray for the community, and then the community comes to them for wisdom, for ancestral wisdom, because they are spending their whole day connecting to their ancestors, right? And that's what it is. That's not an archy. And nobody's controlling anybody. I'm going to this. There's an ilu that says "Ofo ma onyejia," which means the Ofo knows who holds it. Okay, so we can have a group. My dad did this. It was really interesting. My dad was the one that shared this one with me, and you can have a group of people in a room, and somebody can call themselves the leader of the room, but the room itself knows who's the real leader. The room itself knows who it's going to defer to in times of need. The room itself knows who is the source of authority. And that, to us, is how all that shit works. So there's no such a thing as my dad was this person, now I'm the arc, right? I'm the archy, right? There's also this thing in the West, and I'm going to say the West, Eurasia, right? There's this thing in Eurasia that once you're in charge, the people below you, like, you're expected to kind of diminish their life, right? It's expected that you will diminish their life. You understand? But again, what am I talking about with in charge is, by nature, I defer to this person because they are wealthy in wisdom. They are wealthy in strength. They are wealthy in whatever. And when I need that, I go to them, right? That kind of thing. So that's what's going on. That's what happens in our culture, right? If you think about the West, like, the West is a weird place. It's weird. The West is weird. So we can't keep using the West to understand everybody else. We have to just blank slate and then try to understand people as they are, especially Africa, especially anything African, especially. And in the diaspora. I don't even like the term black anymore. That's just dead. All the Africans all over the world, right? All the Africans all over the world. We have to just understand us as us. There's no place in the black diaspora that what I just described is not the norm. Right? Some of you are Jamaican. Imagine a Jamaican comes into a room full of Jamaicans. I'm the king of Jamaicans. Man, you don't sit your right? I'm the king of Jamaicans. You all have to pay tax to me. I'm the king of Jamaicans. What? You know what I mean? But there's somebody in that Jamaican ass room that we all defer. We know that if we need to make a decision and we can't, that this person is wealthy in wisdom, right? I'm the king of the Black Americans. That's crazy. That's weird. Why? Because you're an African. That doesn't mess with your brain. It just is weird. You see how weird that was? Right? I'm the king of England. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm the king of Burgundy. Yeah. I'm the king of goddamn Spain. Yeah. That's normal. And your life's going to be really good and mine's going to be bad, and that's normal. That's just normal. That's not us. We didn't do that. Right? You see in the European, when they make music, the little Nick does this and everybody does the fucking thing. Right? Nobody can just go, like when they get Whitney Houston to sing the national anthem, nobody told her to sing it like that. It just came out of her. That's what came out. That's what makes it wow. As an African, I guess normal. That's she's doing her thing. But you go to like goddamn Harvard, like, oh, the syncopations and it's like something crazy. It's like saying it's that autonomy is as crazy, and like spontaneity is as crazy to them as I'm the king of Haitians. You know what I mean? I'm the Haitian king of this room. Everybody asks, all you Haitians have to pay tax to me. I'm the Haitian king, right? Now we try to mimic European governments and stuff and try to recreate that and then get mad at ourselves for not, oh no, the corrupt, we get mad at ourselves for not mimicking this fake ass thing that doesn't even make sense to us, right? For mimicking this thing. We know this is all internal. It's all internal, right? So in my own culture, Igbo culture, things don't make other things do things. But we understand that things get done by being animated by a common spirit. Okay? Being animated by a common spirit. That the person who is the leader is the person who our core listens to. Our core. It's not our core. It's not because he has a hat, right? It's not because he has the staff, right? And of course, there's the awful. Like a person can hold the awful and nobody listens to this fool. You know what I mean? It's okay. It's okay. Like for example, now people ask me all these rules about Dibia. Listen, if you're a Dibia and you say I'm a Dibia, people will come to you to have the Dibia work done. If you are not a Dibia, if your chi is not that of a Dibia, you can call yourself a Dibia for 651 years. Nobody's gonna come to you for that thing because at our core we know. You can't tell me this is a good beat and I got to rap on it now. I'm not feeling it. I got nothing for this, right? It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Okay? So that's why I said just take it, that thing, right? Just if like, for example, now, like I was leaving that alone, right? We have our own problems, right? We have our own things we need to figure out and that kind of thing. And yeah, right? But let's not that Europe thing is different, bro. It's intentionally different. It looked at the rest of the world and said, nope, I'm going to do this instead. It's different. So we can't. So, I always use the archy this, archy, but that's what I mean that, right? And you're not going to find anywhere in Africa, unless it's like them parts that aren't really African, but you're not going to, sure, you'll see all that stuff over there, right? But all this, like, I'm the shepherd, you're the cattle stuff, you know what I mean? No, we don't do that. Okay, so and a lot of when you guys ask questions, you'll hear it in my answers, right? You'll hear it in my answers. I'll do mine. I heard someone describe what we do in Africa as gender equity and not gender equality. I can see what you mean by that. Yeah, I can see what you mean by that. Definitely as far as like gender relations, a lot needs to be done. A lot needs to be done. A lot needs to be questioned. A lot needs to be looked at, right? Does Odinani have? Okay, we already did that. Benin opened their African diaspora nationality only a few days ago. Oh, that's dope. That's good. That's good. A lot of people were taken from Cotonou and that area. A lot of people. So that's huge. And I think most of them were sent to South America and the Caribbean. Most of them were sent to South America and the Caribbean. But 100%, yeah, that's good. Video froze, think his phone died, something went wrong. Yeah, the phone died. I didn't know that I can jump back into the live. YouTube has finally fixed that thing. Though we lost a lot of people. We're at 12 again. How should I think about the Abara that have masculine, feminine attributes together? Does it have any relevance in intersex people or trans? No, I don't think it has relevance in intersex people or trans people. Um, the two I can think of are like Agwu and now I'm learning about Nemo. But you kind of have to learn what that duality means, right? What that duality means, right? So, for example, I see that duality in Nemo in the sense that you have it's a woman, but she doesn't bring life into the world. She takes it out, right? And so that's symbolized the way it's symbolized. It manifests the way it manifests. Agun, the male head and the female head, they both have different functions, you know. So I think, yeah, look at what it means. I don't think it crosses over into like intersex and that kind of thing. So, do you know? Do you know anything about interdimensional bilocation through water? Damn, Brittany, you're on fire. Connecting with new inner Earth oceans, covering supposedly. I get that doggone Trump use. Yeah, so water is a connector, right? No matter what your Iuwa is, water is what flows through all of it. So water is a connector. Water can take you to different spaces, different dimensions, different realities. Um, and then water itself is a space, right? The water is like the median point, right? Think of the watering hole in nature. All things come to the watering hole, and therefore all things are accessed through water and can be accessed through water. It's one of the things we talk about in the traditional medicine class. Is water and how it can be used, right, as a connector between worlds. So yeah, absolutely. And from there, you then see how the Dogon actualize that knowledge and so forth. So spoke about people being taken underwater cities. Supposedly, they're refugees from the Draco Wars. I don't know too much about that, so I appreciate you sharing it though. Good evening, all. Okay, diaspora. Udon one. So did the phone die? Yeah. The phone died. I'll try and get some silence from the kids. I forgot to take the charger. But guys, this has been a good discussion. I just wanted to come back on here and finish up the reason they were born, their purpose. And okay, cool. So I'll do my. So this has been a good discussion, y'all. As always, that was all good. Yeah. So yeah, as always, hop on Patreon. Get on patreon.com/the medicine shell. I am debating doing these lives nightly. I'm really tempted because I'm seeing that that's kind of the norm now is just to go live regularly. The long form videos are getting very difficult to do because of my schedule and stuff. Um, but I'm going to continue trying. I'm working on a video on Uwam Mary right now, the world of water. So that's the one coming next. Um, but I'm trying to find a way to be more consistent. So I have to change my format because the world has changed, right? The world has changed. So if you guys have ideas, let me know. But either way, get on Patreon, patreon.com/the medicine shell, join the village. We have a group study. So we all get together, we are on Zoom, we're all talking, sharing our ideas. We also have my library. Those of you who are on Patreon and you don't know how to access my library, just message me. Message me. I'll connect you. I've connected you already, probably, but I'll send you the link. Um, yeah, my library, over 300 documents, books, that kind of thing. May or may not have After God is Debia. May or may not. May or may not. May or may not. um, what else was I talking about? What else was I talking about? Yeah, and then of course, what glitch happened? Your program stopped on my TV. Damn, you had me on the TV? That's crazy. No, just battery died. Battery died. Thanks a lot, Derek. It's been an awesome session. Kachifo. Okay, Kachifo one day. Udo. As always, uno gadi, uno geto. Gobla uno tiriaka, gadi no wa. Gadi otwa na eke. Urie na afọ na nkwọ. Say